Hi, everybody. Sandy Weiner here, and I'm so excited to have you join me for today's webinar. Before we get started, three quick things, and I'm just gonna. So first of all, please reduce distractions around you and stay on for the full hour because I have a special offer at the end. This is going to be interactive and fun. There's going to be Q&A at the end, and I'm going to be asking you to post in the chat. If you've ever been to any of my webinars, you know I like to do that because I don't just want to talk to myself. This is for you. And I will let you know where you can get more information and a special offer for those of you who stay on till the end. And I do have a free gift for you who attended live. And that will come to you in your follow-up email once the webinar is closed. You'll get an email with all the right links and everything that you need to know that I've talked about in the webinar. So we are going to get started. Which of these describes you best? And I want you to put the answer in the chat. Number one, I don't even know how to get started with dating. Maybe I'm fresh out of a long marriage or I'm newly widowed and I have no idea how to date today. That's number one. Number two, I've been dating for a while and I'm pretty disappointed with what's been going on. Number three, I don't even know how to find compatible dates. I wish I could. And number four, I'm just burnt out from the dating apps. So Jella said one. We have a couple of people here. Number two, Jennifer. Four, Carmen. All right, so we're getting a smattering of what describes where you are, which is really helpful to me to know where everybody is on the dating journey. Whether you're navigating the dating scene for the first time after a breakup or divorce or loss, or have been on this journey for a while, you're in the right place. Because today we're going to tackle 5 of the biggest misconceptions about dating that might be holding you back from finding the love you desire and deserve. And I know many of you might be feeling frustrated or even a little bit disillusioned with the dating scene. Maybe you have been on too many first dates that haven't gone anywhere, or there are conversations that start and then they stop and you don't know why, or you keep attracting the wrong kinds of people. But here's the thing. Those challenges are often rooted in outdated beliefs about dating. So let's bust some of those misconceptions wide open, shall we? Here's what you're going to learn tonight. The 5 misconceptions that might be keeping you from love. 6 secrets to transforming your love life that I teach my private clients. Some true stories I'm going to share of people in midlife and beyond who found their last first date by working with me. And a chance to work with me in a special way if you want to find your person, plus a free gift for everyone who attends live. So give me a thumbs up in the chat if you're ready to hear the 5 misconceptions. And I'm going to get started. Here we go. Misconception number 1. Dating is a numbers game. You've all heard it before. Dating is just a numbers game. The more people you date, the better your chances are of finding your person. But I am here to tell you that treating dating like a numbers game is only going to lead to burnout. It's true, you have to date to find your person, right? A lot of people are sitting on their couch wondering why they're not meeting, and that's a surefire way to not meet your person. But when you're constantly trying to give too many people a chance and you're dating way too often, you're spreading your energy way too thin. And let's face it, if you're not showing up as your best self, your dates are going to feel it and you will have less success at dating. So here's the problem with dating as the numbers game. Imagine that you're on a 3rd date that week, right? You've gone on a lot of dates. Maybe you're not going on 3 dates a week, but you're going on date after date. You're exhausted. Your mind is already on your to-do list. Your heart's not into it. You're wondering, when is this thing going to be over? Just like the woman in the picture. How can you possibly connect with somebody in a meaningful way? Dating has become routine, almost robotic. And that's not what dating should be about, right? So let me know in the comments if you have ever been on just date after date and you're like, oh God, when is this going to end? So many of us, right, have been on these dates and they're boring and it just feels like, when am I going to meet my person? So, what is the solution? The solution is quality over quantity. Instead of playing the numbers game, I want you to try something different, and that is dating with intention. And that's really what my coaching philosophy is all about. It's about quality over quantity, it's about being intentional with your time and your energy, focusing on vetting people better before you go on a first date. And then it's about truly getting to know one or two people before moving on to the next, not just dating endlessly. This approach not only saves your energy, but it also increases the likelihood of finding somebody who you really click with. You're going to start to notice things you might have missed if you were rushing through the process. And often we just look for, oh my God, what's wrong with this person? I don't find anything that we connect on. The truth is that we can fall in love with a lot more people than we think. But if we're just going through the motions, we're not going to do it. Imagine this. Picture yourself going on a date where you're fully present, you are engaged, you're truly interested in the person across from you. Not necessarily because this is the one, not necessarily because this is the end of the journey for you, but you're focused on this person. You're not thinking about your next date or whether you're going to hit it off with somebody else. You're focused on this connection right in front of you. You're curious. You ask the right types of questions, and that's something I help people with, is knowing how to ask the right kinds of questions from the very beginning so you're making deeper connections. You're not having these surface level dates, and then the conversation is more likely to flow. That is the power of dating with intention. And trust me, the results can be magical. And I want to share a really quick story about my client. Her name is Julie. She had been dating for many, many years, and we worked together. She was just an awesome person who couldn't find her person. And I wrote about her in my book. She ended up going to Italy when the COVID restrictions opened. Some of you may have read Love at Last, my last book. And she ended up meeting this amazing person. They were sitting at a table that she wasn't supposed to be at. And I'm not going to tell you the whole story because I'd love for you to read it. But she wasn't supposed to be at this thing in Tuscany. She ended up meeting this guy. He happened to be in a partnership with another woman. And she still got to know him because they had such an incredible connection. And they ended up talking over Skype for quite a while because supposedly he wanted to practice his English and she wanted to practice her Italian. And through those connections over Skype, they started to fall in love. But he had that one problem. He had this partner and he had to figure out what to do. So before they could actually date, he had to figure out, am I going to leave my partner? He ended up leaving his partner, and it was not an easy process. So, Julie would call me and say, I don't know what to do. He's got somebody else in his life, and should I continue to talk to this person? So many times we meet people and we think it's the wrong time or the wrong person, or maybe they just got divorced and we think that's a terrible time to date. Or we meet somebody and all of our friends are telling us, don't date this person. But we have this intuition that pulls us towards this person, and it actually works. And this woman has never been happier. She really had chosen quality over quantity. She had stopped dating pretty much altogether until she met this guy. So I just want to give you hope that, it's not about a numbers game. It's about finding the right person. And when you do, it goes pretty quickly. It's not a long, arduous process. When I work with people, we go slow at first because there's work to be done. We need to work on our patterns and what's holding us back. And then when we meet somebody who's the right person, It doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like a chore. So, are you ready for misconception number 2? Here we go. Misconception number 2 is no sparks, no second date. You get home from a first date, your friends ask you, how was it? And you tell them, it was okay, but I didn't feel much of a spark. And you wonder if you'll ever find the right person or if you're just doomed to keep on going on dates that don't click. Let me know if you have ever been in this position. I know most of us have, and it's very easy to just say no second date. Hollywood movies and fairy tales emphasize the butterflies and I just knew it when I saw them. And that's a misconception. Almost never, really. Sometimes the initial spark is there and it may turn into a relationship, but the mistake many people make is thinking that if there isn't instant chemistry, this person is probably not a good match, where the opposite is most likely to be true. If your date had some red flags or had different core values than you or was disrespectful in any way, don't date them again. This is not a spark that can grow, right? But if you had a good enough time on the first date and you did connect in a certain way and you're still curious about that person, but you're not feeling sparky, go on more dates. It can end up surprising you in ways you could never have imagined. Most of the good relationships that I know and that I've helped people with started out without a spark. Before you end it with someone with whom you're not feeling that initial spark, consider that first dates can be really awkward and they make people nervous. I mean, how many of us have been super nervous on a first date or not ourselves, right? We can't fully open up to a total stranger usually. Neither of you probably showed up fully authentic. And if you have always chased the spark in the past, obviously it has not worked out. What are the pitfalls of chasing sparks? When you prioritize chemistry over compatibility, you might find yourself on an emotional roller coaster. The highs are exhilarating, but the hot flames of passion often burn out just as fast. We call those the crash and burn relationships, leaving you feeling disappointed or even heartbroken. Let me know in the chat if you have ever been on one of those sparky, high chemistry. Oh my God, I'm so attracted to this person. And it burnt out quickly, did not end well. Let me know if that has ever happened to you. It's definitely happened to me in the past before I knew these skills. And it's not a healthy way to have a relationship. So what do we do instead? Here's the solution. Slow down. The slow and steady approach. Instead of chasing instant chemistry, I encourage you to do what I call slow dating. If you had a good time on a first date, even if you didn't feel those sparks and butterflies right away, consider giving it another shot. Romantic love often gradually develops. In fact, studies show that 54% of singles have fallen in love with someone they were not initially attracted to. What matters more than an immediate spark is whether there is a genuine connection, mutual respect, shared values, even some laughter. And when I teach my Love Mastery program, that's upcoming at the end of this month, and also when I teach my private clients, I share with them a template where they can debrief every date. Normally, when we go on a date, we think, did I like them? Did I feel a spark? Did they have a good pedigree? I know we ask ourselves some of the questions that are actually not important, and we don't know which questions are the right ones to ask. So we have a debrief method that really helps you to check in with yourself. So here's your action plan. After your next first date, instead of asking yourself, did I feel sparks? Ask yourself, did I have fun? Did I enjoy the conversation? Did I feel a connection? Do we share some similar values? If the answer is yes, and there are no red flags, there are no obvious red flags, give it another date. I'm not saying you should go on 10 dates because I think a lot of people will advise you to just keep on going on dates for like, 10, 6 dates. I don't know. To me, on the third date, you should know whether it's starting to grow. If it's not growing, don't do it. But it's important to really ask yourself the right questions. And it's also important to understand the reasons why you may have chased the spark or chosen the wrong people in the past. And that's something I teach in Love Mastery, my new upcoming program. It is a game changer when you know how to find out why you choose the wrong partners. It's often very unconscious. I want you to meet my client, Kara. She was also in my book. She was never attracted to anyone after her divorce. And she would have gone on one date with this guy, CJ, who you see in the picture. But we talked about not chasing the spark. And so she begrudgingly went on a second date and then a third date, then a fourth date, because there was nothing wrong with him. He was the kindest, sweetest person. But she really had been unattracted to every single man she met. Her attraction grew with CJ because he was slow and steady. He was there for her. And Kara thought, like, who's going to want me? I'm a single mom of two kids. I had a terrible first marriage. I have anger issues. Anyway, they got married and I officiated their wedding last September. So I forgot to update this. But this was the first wedding I ever officiated. It was such an honor to officiate their wedding that I flew down to Florida in September. And it was such a joy to watch the two of them and the love that they have together. You could see in her face, she obviously loves this guy. She would never have dated him again. So giving people a second chance when it's a good person is such an important thing. Misconception number 3. The right person will accept me at my worst. I love this one so much because so many people believe this. The phrase, the right person will accept you at your worst, suggests that a compatible partner is going to love you, flaws and all. And while it's true that the right person is going to be supportive and understanding, especially during challenging times, that's part of what a healthy relationship looks like. But this is a problem. Why is it a problem? We believe that somebody has to handle all of our imperfections. And here's the problem. Many people use dating as an emotional dump. They believe they should disclose the good, the bad, and the ugly at the very beginning of dating. We have had dates where somebody talks about their bout with cancer or their debt, the toxic relationship that they have with their ex, the fact that their kids don't talk to them, their terrible upbringing, their eating disorders. Because if you can't accept me at my worst, I had a friend who said, I want to put it all out there on a first date. And I said, no, don't do that. Have you ever been on a date with somebody who overshared so much right away? Or have you overshared on first or second dates? Because sharing too much too soon is actually crossing a boundary. We don't know each other well enough to disclose the hard things. And if you don't know somebody well enough to hear the hard things, you're going to judge them. Because here's what happens. Somebody says to you, I'm in debt. Now, if you knew them for 3 months and you had already fallen in love with them and they told you they were in debt and they told you why they were in debt and that they're working to rebuild wealth and here's what they're doing, you'd probably be a lot more understanding than if they just disclosed this on the first date before you even knew them or liked them. So this is the problem with sharing too much too soon. Plus, Brene Brown says people need to earn our stories. They need to earn who we are over time. We don't dump the whole story out at once. So here's the solution. Be vulnerable, but don't overshare. If you want to deepen your connection and really get to know the person you're dating, share something personal. like a topic that you're passionate about, or a recent experience that changed your perspective, or a small challenge that you're currently facing at work, and ask for their opinion on how to tackle it. That makes you vulnerable, but not oversharing. Be authentic. Allow your date to see the real you rather than a super polished version. This can be done by just showing more of your personality. If you're a woman who likes jewelry, you can wear an eclectic piece of jewelry like I have on right now, these cool earrings that I got. They're from Israel and they have a story behind them. So you can wear something that has a story, a shirt, a piece of clothing. You can allow your colorful personality to come through. Allow your quirkiness to shine through. Don't hide the fact that you like skateboarding or bungee jumping or whatever it is that you enjoy. Share some of that, and you co-create a space where both of you feel safe to share a little something about yourself and see how that person really feels about you because you're sharing more of you. Picture this: you're on a date, and instead of holding back, you decide to share that personal story or talk about what you're really looking for in a relationship. Maybe you didn't do that in the past. Your openness encourages your date to do the same. And suddenly you're having a deep, meaningful conversation that brings you closer. And that is the power of vulnerability. I don't know if you've ever heard of the 36 questions that can make you fall in love with anybody. Anybody here? Let me know. This was a study done a while ago, was written about in the New York Times. There was a TED Talk about it. And the reason, right, in the Times, Jennifer, and the reason that these 36 questions make you fall in love with somebody is because of vulnerability. They are questions that help you to get to know somebody much quicker than you would normally. And they come in layers. You don't ask them all at once. Like I have a blog post on my blog that talks about which ones to ask on a first date. You're not going to ask the most vulnerable to somebody who's a stranger, in my opinion. But these are questions that help you get to know somebody, the heart of somebody, not just the surface stuff that most people talk about, but also not oversharing. Okay, understood? Everybody got that concept? Because it can be a little bit hard to understand. Some people are really like, I need to share everything right away because they need to know these things about me. And I really think this holds people back. And I was just talking to somebody today, and she said she dated a guy once who said that he had a heart attack and he had tremendous debt and all these problems, and she never met him because she was just like, I don't want to meet this guy. So if it's ever happened to you, you know what I'm talking about. Here's misconception number 4. Men are intimidated by successful women. And yeah, this myth has held back so many incredible women from truly shining in their relationship. There's a belief that men are intimidated by successful women. I think we have some men on the webinar right now, so you're welcome to pipe in and let me know what your thoughts are. I mean, I asked my brother-in-law today, and he said, no, I've always been attracted to successful, strong women. He said some men are intimidated by successful women, which is true, that some men are very insecure. And so they're going to be intimidated or feel insecure around a successful woman. And if you're a successful woman, you're not looking for those people. Many women, though, try to downplay their achievements or hold back what their careers are. They hold back in their careers. But the truth is that most men are not intimidated by success. They're inspired by it. So if you're a guy on this webinar, let me know. Here's the problem. According to a survey by Match.com, 87% of single men said they would consider dating somebody with a successful career, even if she earns more than they do. 87%, that's a lot. It's a big number. And 44% think it's very important that the woman they date has a successful career. The men who are intimidated by successful women often have their own insecurities, like I said, but that doesn't mean you should dim your light to make them feel better. Your success is a testament to your drive, to your intelligence, and your passions, qualities that are incredibly attractive. The right man is going to see your success as a bonus, not a barrier. He will be proud to stand beside you, support your ambitions, and celebrate your achievements. Here's the solution. Your success is your superpower. Imagine being in a relationship where your partner is your biggest cheerleader. He's there to support you. He's there to celebrate your wins and encourage you to keep pushing forward. That's what's possible when you stop believing that myth that your success is intimidating and start owning it as your superpower. And Valley says they're intimidated by intimidating dominant women, not successful women. It's not a competition. Absolutely. And that's really what happens a lot of times, is that it's not your success that men are turned off by. It's your bossiness. It's the fact that you want to dominate. And maybe you do that at work, but that's not attractive in the dating world. And so there's a whole theory on feminine energy and masculine energy, and I'm not going to get into it here, but I do go into it more in depth about the qualities of a woman that are really attractive to men and that we've lost a lot of that. I talk about that in my program, Love Mastery, because I think it's really important for us to understand how our success is good. It just is how we show up in our dating life that we need to be conscious of. And so I'm going to share a quick story about my client, Mimi. She came to me really sad. She was in her late 50s. She was never married. And she didn't believe she'd ever meet the right man. And she focused so much on her work success that she struggled with her relationship success. And she would lead in dating with her achievements and not bring her softer side at all. Like, she really didn't know how to balance the two. Anyway, after a lot of work, deeper work, I mean, you can see she's a beautiful woman and she had so much going for her. And she was such an incredible person. And she met this guy and got engaged. Now, again, it's not usually a straight line. It's not so simple. In her life, she was in part of a small community. She met him in a group of friends. So she met him in real life. And he was divorced, and there were a lot of rumors spread about him that he maybe wasn't such a good person to date. Well, she decided to really get to know him and not just listen to all the rumors. And she saw him show up time and again as a stand-up guy with great character traits and fantastic, fantastic person. And she got married for the first time in her late 50s. And so, this happens to a lot of the people I've worked with because we get out of our own way. We learn what's been stopping us, and then we don't listen to everybody else. We listen to ourselves once we know how to trust our inner knowing. A lot of times our inner knowing is really not our inner knowing. It's societal expectations. It's a whole lot of other things. All right, quick drink time. Any thoughts anybody want to share before I go on to the final misconception? I've shared a lot talking about women success and not you love me at my worst, will you love me at my best? Okay, let's go on to misconception number 5. And this one, a lot of women fight me on this one. Women should not make the first move. This is another outdated myth that needs to go. The idea that men love to chase and that if a woman makes the first move, online or offline, he's going to lose interest. This belief is rooted in old gender roles that don't apply anymore. In today's world, relationships are built on mutual interest and respect, not outdated notions of who should make the first move. And I'm going to clarify what that first move is in just a second. Here's the problem. If you're waiting for a man to chase you or make all the first moves, you might be missing out on some amazing connections. Most men today are perfectly comfortable with women making the first move. In fact, 90% of men surveyed by Match.com said they are completely fine being asked out by a woman. So why wait? Plus, men over 50 have spent their entire lives making all the first moves, the first kiss, initiating sex for the first time, proposing, and they've also been rejected a lot. You know, if you think it's hard to be rejected, think about all the first moves and all the rejections that come with asking somebody out who doesn't say yes, going to kiss somebody, having them push you away, even proposing. My ex-husband proposed to at least one other woman, maybe two, before I said yes. So with all that rejection, older men who are dating today are tired of all the chasing and all the rejection. Wouldn't you be tired of that too? So what do? The solution is to take the initiative. If you're interested in someone, go ahead and send the first message online. I have seen so many women who say, I will never do that. I will never send a first message. And if the conversation, so if you send that first message and the conversation doesn't lead to a first date after a few text exchanges, or it doesn't escalate, ask if you'd like to take the discussion to a phone call or a date. This is about the green light. This is not about taking over, taking charge. You want to let men know that you are interested in him. My brother-in-law said today, most men are chickens. He said, when a woman is clear with her interest, and my sister is this is her second marriage. He said she was really clear. She came to a special singles weekend. She made it clear that she wanted to meet this guy because she wanted to meet people closer to her age. She wanted to make sure there would be people her age. And he knew that she was interested in talking to him. So it took all the pressure and the heat and the scariness out of their initial contact. Taking the initiative doesn't make you less feminine or less desirable. It actually shows confidence and clear interest. And let's be honest, men do appreciate it when women make the first move. It takes the pressure off and it shows that you're serious about getting to know them. Now, if they're not putting any interest or any kind of energy back, then they're not the right person. You don't want to be overextending. And I could say that for men and women. If you're working too hard, it's not working. But if you're showing interest and they're excited about that, then that's what I'm talking about. So picture this. You've been talking to a guy online for a while, and instead of waiting for him to make the first move, you decide to take the plunge. You ask if he'd like to get together for coffee or a walk sometime soon, and he's so excited. You've opened the door to a potential great relationship because you were brave enough to take the lead and not just wait. Notice you did not ask him out. You said, would you like to sometime soon? You've given him the green light to ask you out because you want to see if he will match your energy. Okay, we have some comments here. Monique says, I'm finding men over 50 be far more passive than I would have assumed. I'm 57 and shocked with how men this age are so uninvested in making the first move, or they want a pen pal but never know how to make the next step. On, hey, let's meet, it's frankly a turnoff. Right, so what happens is then the conversation doesn't go anywhere. And there's some science behind this passivity as well. I'm not excusing bad behavior, but again, what I'm saying is that a lot of men are tired of making first moves. They don't want to be rejected. They need the green light from you. So I would say if you're not getting the green light from them, give them the green light that you would like to get to know them better. If they still don't take the bait, then abandon ship and move on. But I think you have to give men more of a chance. Also, when you think about hormones, and I've talked about this a lot, when our hormones change as we get older, men's hormones change as well. So men's testosterone levels go down, our estrogen levels go down. We're actually more equal hormonally in many ways than we've ever been. And that's why relationships with older men and older women often are deeper. We go deeper, we're less afraid to have emotional connections than we ever were before. I mean, think about your relationships when you were 20. I mean, I didn't go as deep as I do today. There's no way, I didn't have the confidence I have today. So while women are amping it up, a lot of them are doing more than they ever did before because they have all this energy and they don't have kids at home anymore. If they had children, they have all this extra energy to do things, and maybe they're starting new careers like I did at 50, became a coach. Then that's exciting. But then a lot of times men who have been working really hard and being really driven their whole lives are now starting to slow down. So we've got to meet each other where we are and understand each other instead of judging each other. So I'm just inviting you to be compassionate, to not judge a man as being lazy or disinterested just because he hasn't asked you out. He may not know that you're interested. He may not be able to read the signs. And Valley says, I'm often misunderstood when just making conversation. So yeah, I mean, it's important to be able to make conversation offline, right? We want to, if we're dating online, we want to get offline and onto a date to see if there is a connection. It's very hard to engage with somebody over text. So if you're not taking the initiative and saying, hey, I don't communicate great over text, or I find that there's a lot of miscommunication. Are you interested in taking this to a phone call? Or if they start asking you lots of questions that really are not text appropriate, take that initiative. A lot of people don't know how to do that, women and men. So these are some of the skills I teach in Love Mastery and in all my programs. I'm going to introduce you to another client, Maureen. She had called me crying after 4 years of first dates, short romances. She could not find the right partner. And then she met a man who was not her typical type. She would not have dated him had we not worked together. She made the first move with him, let him know she was interested. And she says he is everything she always needed, but never knew she wanted. And he calls their love story a quantum entanglement, which is a really interesting term. So it's this magical thing when you meet the right person because you have the right skills and you don't let misconceptions or myths or any kind of patterns get in the way of finding love. So as you can see, if you bust the misconceptions and the myths and do the deeper work, because the deeper work is important too, you're going to stop unknowingly sabotaging your love life. Because a lot of times we don't realize that one little thing, like, with Kara's story, her just going on that next date made a huge difference. Each time she went on another date, she started to fall more in love with this guy who she never would have dated. I mean, these are missed opportunities that we don't even realize. If we're not working with a coach or somebody who can guide us, we just keep doing the same thing over and over and wondering why things aren't changing. So these myths and misconceptions that we've discussed today are some of the things that might have been holding you back. I would love to hear right now some reflections. What was the most useful thing you learned today? Anybody want to share anything that was something new or something that they might have been doing that has gotten in the way of meeting quality people or had you attract the wrong ones? Let me know in the comments. Anybody? I know that it can sometimes take a minute. So while I'm waiting for comments, so if you have been struggling and you want to start finding the right people, I have something special I want to discuss with you. Do I have your permission to talk more about where you can learn more and go deeper? Let me know that thumbs up. Yes. Thank you, Jennifer. Many of you are going to gain some new insights from this webinar, my YouTube videos, my books, my podcasts, but insight without action and guidance is not very effective. So if you're tired of repeated patterns and you're not able to trust your inner knowing when it comes to dating and being authentic, I created a program for you. It's called Love Mastery. It's a 3-month program that will guide you through my unique step-by-step method to meet and fall in love with somebody special. I'm going to talk about some of the benefits. Besides the personalized group and private coaching and the strategies and weekly handouts, there's a lot of accountability and community support. It's also a very intimate small group of only 10 women maximum. So it's often smaller than that. It is extremely hands-on and you get personal coaching. Most programs out there are hundreds of people join and you have videos to watch. You barely get any time with the coach. That is not the way I work. Carmen is on the call. I know you've been part of this before if you feel like sharing anything, but you're going to gain clarity around whatever is holding you back and how to shift them. You're going to find the tools you need to be more empowered and in control of your love life. You're going to learn how to master online and offline dating. You get a new profile designed to attract the right match for you and a proven system to get off the apps and onto dates, which is one of the hardest things. And most importantly, you're going to learn communication skills and boundary skills that you can apply to your entire life. So Carmen, if you want to unmute and just share a little bit, I would love to hear from you because I'm going to share something.
Well, I'm a big fan of yours, Sandy. I've known you since 2017 when I
Wow.
joined the Facebook group.
Hmm.
And I did take the Love Mastery in 2019. And even though I'm single now, it's been a tremendous um, thing to go through. You go through from when we're children and all the things that we've gone through, the traumas and what's made us who we are, and to continue. And I mean, I used to do the silent treatment, something fierce that my last boyfriend just it drove him bonkers, and I don't do that anymore. And I'm very upfront. I say things with kindness and grace, and I get my point across.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, you really your communication skills improve so much and your ability to have self-compassion.
mhm.
I just saw your self-love increase, your ability to connect with others. You found hobbies that you were more passionate about. You were able to have closure around your ex-boyfriend and do it with grace. I mean, there's so many benefits that I saw that you just were beaming by the end of the program. So,
Yeah, I'm very grateful. I mean, I'm able to talk to people, and I was very shy. I mean, Uh, I guess in a few weeks I'll be 69. I live in a small town in Ontario, Canada, and it's not so easy to meet people, but I push myself. I'm going to be doing an event this weekend, and there's going to be tons of people, and I just go out there and give them my best positive outlook, and I tend to attract people, and I really enjoy it.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for
Yeah,
sharing that, Carmen.
you're very welcome.
All right, I'm gonna mute you again. So we're just gonna finish up. I'm gonna open for questions at the end and stay on. Remember, I have that free gift. This is Deirdre. I don't know if her video is gonna play, but we're gonna try. Okay.
Right from the start, I realized that this was a lot deeper than just dating coaching. So Sandy is not just a dating coach. She took a lot of time learning who I am and how I operate, what my patterns are and what my vulnerabilities are. It's much more focused than therapy. And she's a lot more directive, which is good and which I need it. She makes a lot of direct observations, which I had never had in therapy very much. Therapists tend to kind of let you try to figure it out. Sandy is much more, gives me great ideas of things to try and makes observations that have been very intuitive. I've been really pleased with what I've learned. And, one of the things that she identified right away is that I had boundary issues. And I really didn't understand how I was doing that when I was dating, but I was, just kind of going along with the flow and what the guy wanted. And he set the pace. And I really didn't ever set my own pace. I didn't ever kind of say, this is what I would like. And so she helped me identify that I've been doing that all my life. So of course I was bringing that to my dating. And that was really helpful. And also that I had kind of unhealed wounds from my dad not being around when I was younger and how that was showing up in my relationships. So I had all that in place before we ever created a profile for me. I felt a lot more grounded and a lot more confident about doing that because I kind of had an idea of how I was going to approach it differently. So I had a pretty good understanding of what I had done in the past that did not work for me. So I look forward to our calls every week a lot because I can get, doing it on your own. When I did it on my own, I would kind of have a lot of negative reactions during the week and things that guys did. And Sandy has just supported me so well and encouraged me and, really kind of brought me back to myself so that I usually hang up feeling much more hopeful and encouraged about going back out there. I've had several friends, that I talk to about all this online dating, and I have a couple that do it with me. And I've even had them tell me that, that I seem very different this time, that I seem a lot less anxious, that my whole approach is a lot more positive. And that's, I think, because I have Sandy's support. That's what I have to share.
So, Deirdre's actually married now. Since that video was filmed, she really came to me with such insecurity and had no idea how all these things that she talked about were getting in the way. And I'm just so proud of all that she's accomplished. And it's possible for all of you who are interested in joining me in Love Mastery. So I'm going to post the link. Doors close at midnight on April 29th. And just so you know, there is a $150 discount. We're doing application only for this program. And the discount was supposed to expire on the 20th of April, but I'm extending it to the 25th. And that's for the full payment options. There's lots of different ways that you can join. So I am going to put the form link and the Love Mastery program link into the comments in the chat. And I'm going to open up for questions. And you'll get this again when you get the email following this webinar. So who has questions or comments? Any questions about the program or anything? I'm here for the next 10 minutes. Yes, Sally. You can unmute.
There, am I unmuted?
You are.
Just a quick little funny story. I was at the mechanic standing beside a young gentleman whose phone started quacking. And I said, "Oh, that's a funny ring. Do you belong to Ducks Unlimited?" He said, "Yeah, I do. It's an organization for hunting, fishing, the environment, safety, that sort of thing." And I said, "Oh, that's so funny." A female friend of mine joined, looking for a life partner. And funny enough, she met somebody and they're happily married. And he turned really quickly, and he said, "Well, I'm married." I wasn't flirting, and I wasn't hitting on him. And it happened again a little while ago, and this gentleman was fidgeting with his camera, and I said, "Oh, my photographer friend, addressed that problem by buying two camera bodies instead of switching the lens all the time." And he says, "Don't tell me what to do." And I'm merely trying to make conversation. And it's really discouraging. I probably live close to Carmen in a small town in Northern Ontario in Canada.
You two should talk.
Just trying to make
Yeah.
conversation.
So let me address that. First of all, we can't control how other people react to us.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
Yeah, I mean, you were trying to help, but you also want to remember that if you're giving unsolicited advice to people, you may get some reactions like that. So
Okay.
I would just be careful with checking in with people. I see you're struggling with those camera lenses. Would you like to hear a great solution a friend had? Right? There's a difference in that statement.
Yeah.
So
Okay. But what about the first guy that was married?
yeah, that to me is just a bizarre reaction. It's just like, I don't know where that came from, but maybe he was proud that he was married and he was just wanting to share that with you. Who knows, and often in relationships, things can end because we misunderstand each other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's why I have such a passion around communication skills. We spend a lot of time in Love Mastery talking about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I thought you'd find those stories really cute.
thank you for sharing.
Thank you for the evening.
You're welcome. And Jennifer, did you have yourself unmuted? You have a question?
I just had a question. I know that I think there's two for the Love Mastery. There's two Wednesdays that I think I already have commitments, and they're back to back. Is that? I mean, I think you said that you'll send it's recorded, right? So would that be
No.
like a attachment or okay?
Absolutely not. No, everything's recorded. There's also a Facebook forum for in between classes. So even if you miss a class, you can post there, you can get support there. Every week you get a handout and homework. And
Okay.
so you can still complete the homework and get the support in between. So
Okay.
for anybody who's knows they're going to miss some classes, yeah, that's absolutely, because I know some people can't make it to every single one. Yeah, so I hope.
Okay.
Great. And this year I'm offering a VIP level, which gives you private classes with me, private sessions, like I do with my private clients. And those are really one-on-one, 45-minute, it's like therapy. Those are very valuable, and I'm offering that at a discount. So it's less than I charge my clients, my private clients. So this is all to support you. I know some people can't do private coaching. It's just not affordable. This is a much more affordable solution. And it gives you a community of people. I know that Carmen became friendly with some of the people. I see that Rudy is here. Rudy, do you want to unmute yourself? You were part of my coaching. You want to say hi? It's up to you. Anybody else have any questions, comments? Were any of these misconceptions surprising?
Sandy, this is Rudy. I'm driving, so
Okay.
I can't talk right now, but thank you for the evening as well.
Oh, it's so good to have you join me. Thank you. And I'm sorry that you're driving because I would love to see you.
Okay.
Okay.
Another time.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, so Rudy was a coaching client, and she's wonderful. Anybody else? Questions? Comments? Anything?
I would just say that I have many times made the first move like online by giving my phone number. I do that a lot because I don't like doing the back and forth on the app. Like I just find it tedious, and I'd much rather have a conversation and then meet somebody because I don't get anything out of the back and forth.
Mhm. Which is
Um,
good. But when you give your number, do they usually call you or do they sometimes not?
they once I've usually they'll usually text, and then it'll either be a phone call or a date.
Okay. Because a lot of times people exchange numbers and then nobody calls. And
Now, usually it leads to something.
that's good. That's good. And so, there's also a way to say, um, would you like to exchange phone numbers? Not just give your phone number. Would you like to exchange numbers to see if we have a connection off the apps? There's language for all of these things that can be a little softer, can be a little less like, feel less of an ask, and more of a collaborative thing. And I find that using the right language just really helps you to get to that next stage, which so many people get stuck in that pen pal stage. And it's frustrating. It's like, I don't want a pen pal, I want a date. And the only way to know somebody is to meet, and to meet more than once usually. But that's good. I mean, this is a way to vet. We have to vet people. So basically, if you're vetting and you know how to vet well, you don't have a lot of bad dates, right? You have less bad dates if you know how to vet, you know the questions to ask, you know how to have those first dates with more success. And that's what we're going to be talking about also in the Love Mastery program. Anybody else? We have just a few seconds left. So if nobody else has any questions, I want to thank you all for joining. We had a lot more people signing up than joined tonight. And I hope that you'll join me at Love Mastery. You're welcome, Tella. And please reach out with any questions. If you have any questions for me, I'm here to answer them. Sandy@lastfirstdate.com. And I will see you all soon. Have a good night. Bye.